Hey everybody, it's the Doctor here with Typical Manga Fan, and this episode of the Typical Manga Review is going to be focused on One Piece Chapter 807, 10 Days Ago. And our new cover story about the people learning about the Straw Hat's new bounty takes us to Zoro's old dojo, where the sensei is just, while the students are all like putting band-aids over their eyes and holding bamboo swords in their mouth. Like, notice how they all got the thing over their eyes. They're trying to be like Zoro.
I know.
Also, one little detail I only just really realized. You notice how the teachers all have like the two sword mark on their uniforms, and the students too, actually?
Yeah.
Is this a dual-wielding school?
I know Kuina didn't use two swords. She used one.
Right, and Zoro did dual-wield until he took Kuina's sword and started adopting the third. But anyway, it's just...
Well,
I don't know.
Actually, I don't know about the manga, but in the anime, he actually used the mouth thing right the first time he challenged Kuina.
The anime expanded on that flashback a whole lot more by giving a whole episode. Like, the manga version was barely a few pages of what.
Yeah, okay.
It was like within a single chapter.
Yeah. So in the anime, it was he started off with the swords in his mouth. He was trying to just jumble everything he could, just because he thought more swords equals better.
Yeah, it was a baby flashback in the manga.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, so like, see, we got that. And the other teachers are just laughing it up at this. They're just finding it amusing. And now we are now officially on Zo. At Zo's left foot, we're at the Sunny. The samurai and the monkey are like, okay, I think we're done for today. Let's just try again tomorrow. Hite.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, they were 2 or 3 times in one day is too much. Anyway, so now they're actually they're having like a little celebration, a little party there in Zo. They're having some monkey wine, which is fine by Zoro. Of course, what is not fine by Zoro is the fact that the minks are all over him. They're all rubbing against him. Like, I'm going to start calling the minks the furless fandom at some point. Oh, actually, slight note. Notice on that top left panel, look at the one just to the right of Zoro. Looks like something out of like Evil Crash Bandicoot.
Yeah.
And then
I like the subversion he's doing. Inversion that he's doing with the whole furry thing. Like, I like how it's like the other way around this time. Yeah.
I wonder if like I said, I almost wonder if he's doing it on purpose in that specific sense, or if he just thought it would be funny. Either way, it's funny. And actually, I just had a kind of a random thought here. All these animals here. Do you remember the animal zombies in Thriller Bark? I wonder how many of them might have been minks now, because like there's like a pig one there that could have been like Zombie Lola. Like, see the pig that's kind of holding the chicken beef thing there?
Zombies are everywhere, man. They're everywhere.
And then, like I said, we got a whole bunch of people there, like all bandaged up to varying degrees. Zoro's just creeped out. There's like he wants none of this. Like, just a little glompy glomp. Come on, just a little nibble. Just a little garchoo. Like, Luffy's just like, hey, look, you're being totally rude here, Zoro. They're giving us stuff. Is that one nibbling his hat? Look at the panda Luffy's sitting on.
Yeah. I mean, what I'm actually it's like holy shit, they're eating a lot. I mean, they're really
Straw Hats.
I know, but I mean, one thing I'm trying to say is like they're being given a lot, like by the minks. Like the minks are really happy they're here.
Yep. Then,
Quite the opposite. I'm like Usopp. I'm like, well, I didn't expect this at all.
Yeah, but then like I said, Nami's like being as the tiger. Robin's got like an ape next to her. Even Chopper's not. I mean, if you look at the little raccoon next to him, it's actually
With the chopper thing, wouldn't it be like wouldn't it be like how do we do this? Yeah, like, they wouldn't be into him, right? Because he's technically has fur.
Well, maybe he goes into his human form. But I just realized, could that possibly be a tanuki?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is.
Okay, that's just because that's the animal he's always getting mistaken for.
Actually, if Chopper goes to human form, he still has the hair, the fur. Right?
Only around his neck, I think. Well,
I'm pretty sure it's still on the rest of his body. I mean, it's a lot in his neck, but I think it's still roughly around his body. More so than the average human.
Yep.
Also, you have that thing with your microphone.
Oh, hang on. Better?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. And at this point, we have Brook crying tears out of the eyes he does not have. And he's just relieved. Like, he's read the newspaper. He's glad to see them all. Like, Brook, why do you look like you got the crap beat out of you? I'm so sorry about what happened with the Sanji. I don't even think I can face you right now. So I don't have a face to begin with.
Yeah, this is how we get met. This is the first mention of Sanji in the chapter, even though we had a cliffhanger in the last one. What do you have to do?
And now he's like, and now they're all celebrating, so it couldn't have been that bad, which we'll come to in a bit. But before that, Usopp,
unless they really want to get rid of him that badly. Thank God he's gone now.
Before that, though, like Usopp is wondering about Momonosuke. Like he's fine, but apparently does not get along well with the minks. In fact, Brook makes a point of mentioning to them that one, Momo's locked himself up in his room and does not come out, and also pulls the Straw Hats together to tell them not to mention the samurai or Wano country to the minks.
And so now we get the plot device of why they're not here.
Yep, that's pretty. Like I said, I think we kind of had that figured out already. But at one point, Luffy's before Brook can answer why that is, the canine minks catch sight of Baron corpse, and then they realize Zoro kind of thinks back to Wanda's earlier warning, notice about the comrade's corpses there, and Zoro's like, "Wait, that's what he meant? Ah, yeah, we call him that out of affection. That's a misleading nickname." It very is. And Wanda's like, to be honest, we were really shocked to think that such a marvelous, fascinating beings existed in this world. The canine minks just adore Bones. And she's all just hot and heavy about it.
Oh my gosh, that face. It's like she's getting turned on by Brook. This is just like chapter rule 34 right here. It's out there. I'm sure it's already, if it wasn't out there, this is the foundation it can be built on. It even says, well, whatever floats your boat. I mean...
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and then as for Law, like they're wondering where Traffy is. He went to see his crew, so he's gone off to them. And I'm like, what are we going to do about Sanji? She's the only one who's actually worried about any of this.
Yeah, what the hell? He's okay. So apparently he sent a letter and that he'll work something out, and he's not like he was captured or anything. That is horrible. Oh, come on. This is not enough. That's horrible. Like, they know that, but the audience doesn't? That's just mean. It's mean, man. I don't like this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is kind of like a lame fake out, especially after the 1 week break like you mentioned before.
The thing, one of the problems I have is that those two are okay, but yet Nami's treating it like this is the biggest thing in the world. So
Chopper, too.
So we don't know how we're supposed to feel, because, like, okay, they all know now, but yet these guys are saying, oh, it's okay, and yet she's like, no, we gotta worry. It's like, so how are the audience supposed to feel, you know? We're confused. And we're like,
yeah, I mean, and Frankie kind of brings up that same point, like, they're still kind of wrapping their heads around this, like, we just barely wrapped our heads around this situation.
Yeah, and again, they're not telling us what the hell is going on, even though they've been hyping up for the past, 5 chapters ever since the bounty thing, and they had a whole off.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Page 9, middle panel. Look at Usopp and that dog. Usopp's got his hand up, the dog's shaking his hand.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt with the laughing, I literally just realized that.
But okay, so, as I was saying, we had 5 weeks. That was building roughly 5 weeks, building up to this. Then we had a whole week off because Oda wanted a break, and it ended on a really big cliffhanger. And now we get this whole thing where the characters know, but we didn't. Yeah. And I'll talk about this more later, but I'm not happy about that. So let's go.
Yep, like I said. And then I love how the minks are all in the background throughout this entire scene, to some degree or another. But basically, they want to know what actually happened in the previous 11 days, and. Well, Nami gets into the story. Brook's getting eaten. We come back to the giant flagship of the Big Mom Pirates. Apparently it's a singing ship, which is actually kind of a weird little thing. And they kind of confirm something that we saw before, which is that Capone Gang Baines has joined Big Mom.
Yeah. So everyone's siding with Yonko except for Luffy, basically, and Law.
And Kid and his allies.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
Like Law basically said earlier, like you either
go for it, you go for one. Yeah, right?
Yeah. You join an emperor or you become one.
Yeah, and so that's basically and Luffy would fit into the. Well, he's not even trying to become an emperor, but he is going to do the same in the sense he's going to try to defeat them.
Yeah. He acknowledged that he has to fight them at some point. So
basically it's the same thing, just in different goal in mind, which is become king, which is technically even higher than that. But yeah.
Yep, and then
we get panels of what happens basically.
Yeah, and I do like this. Like I do like that we actually see how they got away. And then, like I said, what we see here is basically Brook uses his power to freeze the cannonballs. Chopper goes monster and stretches out Caesar to catch them, kind of like they did with Luffy in Enies Lobby. He throws Caesar and the cannonballs back out, and apparently Sanji kicks through Caesar to send the cannonballs back flaming with the Diable Jamba. And while all that's going on, Nami fogs up the area so that they can get away. Which actually, I like that. That's actually some pretty cool teamwork all around for them.
Yeah, I mean, teamwork is actually something that we don't see that often in this manga because it's always been 1-1 fights. But so it's good that we see some of it, you know.
Yeah.
And I understand why there's just too many characters, you know.
And one thing in that, like I said, I recently listened to the One Piece podcast, like ranking of the story arcs, and they mentioned that's one of the high points of Thriller Bark, that you see all that teamwork. Yeah. Like during the Oars fight. And like you also see it in the literary, like sometimes like their definition of teamwork means like relying on the other person to do their part while you do yours. Like I think we kind of got a bit of that with Enies Lobby, for example.
Yeah.
Anyways, like I said, they get themselves out of the way, and that's more or less where we wind up on there. Like we return to the present. Everyone's impressed with all that. Nami and Chopper are not flattered at all. You jerks. Chopper, like I think the minks are clapping along with him.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, these guys are so.
Yeah,
I mean, I never thought I'd see reverse furries, but I have seen them. I have seen them.
Yeah, and then they got the dough pretty quickly because apparently they were already pretty close to it when they were on the way. And Robin notes the damage to the sea that was older that predates their arrival on it, which Wanda confirms. Like it was already in ruins, but Nami on the other side arrived, and her courage and Chopper's medicine and training, like they saved a lot of minks that would have died otherwise.
I was just surprised that 10 days have passed from that. I mean, I was like, okay, so I know a few days were passing ever since the defeat of Doflamingo, but I didn't think it would be that long. I thought it was like 3 days, and that's it.
Yep.
I didn't think 10 days that was huge. Like I am having a hard time comprehending the time dilation here.
Yep. Yeah, they never elected, like they don't necessarily want to, but they do decide that they're going to tell you everything because they have a right to know at this point. But that's interrupted by apparently the Duke awakening. And apparently the kingdom has two dukes. Actually, real quick, Chopper's going to offer his doctoring to him. He calls on a goat doctor, Miyagi, and a squirrel nurse, Tristan. I don't know the pun to Miyagi. I think I know the one for Tristan. The middle part, the RIS, the Japanese word for squirrel is risu.
Okay.
RISU. So Teresitan is how it would pronounce Japanese. Again, I like that they're actually putting some creativity into this.
Oda's going Akira Toriyama on this shit.
Yeah, well, no, Toriyama would have like made it more blatant.
Yeah,
he's the one who named an entire alien race after woodwind instruments.
True.
As West French cuisine.
Although as Westerners, we would only get like half of them, if more than any.
Yeah, because hardly anyone in the States has ever heard of a piccolo.
Yeah, and of course,
or a drum or a tambourine.
Well, I mean, I'm talking about the sayings, the Kakarot. Like we wouldn't think of carrot when we hear that, you know. Vegeta, I mean, when you say vegetable, he's like, oh, okay, I see it now. But it's kind of like we wouldn't think of that at first. With Piccolo, it's actually a lot more obvious. But it's like like Piccolo by himself is like you don't notice that until you hear about like cymbal and tambourine and drum. Then that's when it's just like, oh, okay, I get it now.
Yeah. And then like I said, we got Duke Inuarashi. Basically, he wants to meet their savior, so Wanda's going to bring them to him. And apparently what's going on is like in the Mokomo dukedom, like there's two rulers. The Duke of the Day, the King of the Day, Duke Inuarashi, and the King of the Night, Master, it's actually Neko Mamushi, but it's translated in English as Cat Viper, or Cat Viper Boss. And that's the person they mentioned in the last chapter that Beppo was kind of like under the care of. And then at that point we see Law reuniting with his crew. Everybody's all glad to see them. All glad to see him again. Like it's unbelievable. I think you really defeated Doflamingo. It was all Straw Hats doing. But we got a lot to catch up on, so let's go deeper into 4. So apparently they're going to start talking to themselves here. And as for what happened to Zoe, that started up about 3 weeks ago. Just under 3 weeks ago, 17 days ago, is the number she gives. And it was like a little while after Beppo and his crewmates arrived. Of course, bells rang out across the kingdom, but they weren't welcoming bells for visitors. It was a raid bell for an attack. And even the elephant was like wailing about that. A fierce enemy appeared, and we end the chapter on the side of a fierce enemy, what looks like a big mammoth, which I think we kind of suspected already, demanding the Raizo of the Wano kingdom be brought before him. So pretty much at that point, like they wanted the the ninja, the samurai, which explains why they probably don't want to bring those guys up around the minks. Okay.
Yeah. So first off, so I remember we saw a guy get like tortured by Jack. I'm assuming is that one of the dukes?
Well, that or at least somebody, or somebody wanted to know at the very least, like, and then presumably being questioned about Raizo and his location, which they legitimately did not know about. And apparently they took them a week or so to figure that out, because that's what they finally came to with when they were fighting the Straw Hats on that island, remember? Like, we'll have to call back and say that the samurai is not here.
Yeah. And so yeah, I wonder where the ninja is though. Okay, so I guess we'll get the stuff that I didn't like about the chapter out of the way first. Yeah, I had a problem with the Sanji thing, but so I was like, okay, if they're not going to tell us, I guess they can do a flashback. The problem is they didn't finish the flashback thing in this chapter. I'm sure we're gonna find out in a few chapters. I just think that in terms of the timing, it's a little unfair that they did that. He did that. I think that they should have at least said exactly what happened to Sanji, but only say about the what's, not the hows and whys. So we see like Sanji, he did this and that, but maybe that's from her perspective. Maybe then using the flashback, we could see it from his point of view and see why he did that. Because there's always two sides and two sides of what's going on.
Yep.
So I think that way the flashback would have been more efficient. So that way, and I would have been more patient. The problem is again, we were essentially given almost nothing about Sanji, and what we were given wasn't really helpful. In fact, it was even worse because it made me even more confused. So I'm not happy about that, and it was too much build up, and a bit disappointing.
It would not be so bad had we not had the 1 week break to think about it.
Yeah, I think that's the problem. I think the 1 week break was kind of a bit. I get that Oda needs his break. I just think this is a poor time.
And it's like a regularly scheduled thing, so I think most One Piece fans are aware of it and just like kind of go with it now.
I think he could have spent it. It was just one extra panel, just saying, "Hey, Sanji left us with a note. He went off on his own to go save someone." And I'd be like, "Okay, I think that." The problem is we only get like, "Oh, he left a note. No, for what? What happened? Why is Luffy okay with it? Why is Nami so worried? Why? What's going on here?" Like it's the information that we do get is only making it worse.
Right.
Because now it's just.
Yeah, because like Nami, Chopper, and to a lesser extent Brook are worried about this, but everyone else is like, it's Sanji, he'll be fine.
Yeah, that's the thing. So I'm just kind of like, at this point, I kind of want him to get captured, because then we'll be like, okay, now we know what's going on. Now we know what's happening. So I'm a little, and again, we're not gonna get the answer to the whole why only alive thing, because because at least if he gave us a little more information, we could have at least deduce it or at least try to figure it out. Still, with just the information we have, there's still nothing that we can use for that type of thought process. So I'm not happy about this. I think that even if you did the 1 week break, he could have given us a little more in this chapter. There's a lot of places where you can just fit in an extra bubble or two that could have explained everything. And again, we don't need to. We can get a little bit from the dialogue, and then we can get the rest in the flashback. But in terms of the dialogue, I wanted a little more.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you on there. Just because there's so little known, it's like it's exactly like what he's doing with the samurai. He's like pulling some stunt to either keep them out of the way or delay giving us information. Like in this case, they got interrupted like 2 or 3 times before giving up anything important.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, yeah, this chapter is just a little bit about Sanji and the ninja. That's it. So even in terms of what's going on, there's actually not that much. So. I mean, the chapter in some ways, the only important thing that you have to remember from this chapter is that they were looking for a guy from Wano, and that's why the Minks are pretty sore about it, because basically the Wano guy was the indirect reason of why everything was happening.
Right, but like I said, I think it's more like they don't want to bring it up because it'll bring them unwanted pain. I think
that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
If we find out the specifics, like they'll probably be a little more forgiving, depending on just what the samurai.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a logical reasoning, especially in the mass type of mentality. But this is not just in One Piece. This is in like every manga, every story out there. If there's a guy who's like, him being there is why there's so much destruction, he's going to get a lot of the hate or blame. Like, so if they do hate him, or at least if they're a little ticked off at him, I would see that, and I totally would get that. Because but at the same time, and he came without them knowing, and they had this whole thing about we gotta ring the welcome bell, otherwise we don't want you here, or otherwise we're gonna attack you, stiff, So I mean, like I would understand. At the same time, though, again, I didn't think this chapter satisfied me. I didn't think it did.
Yep.
So there we go.
Yeah, I mean it's like, yeah, I mean it is a weak chapter, but especially because of the whole Shanji stuff.
Yeah.
Otherwise, like that, it's not a bad chapter. Otherwise, like I do like the Minx as kind of like a constant little background presence or foreground presence, as the case may be.
But
how they love like the humans.
Yeah, but that's been a continuation of the previous chapters as well. So it's not like this chapter was special in that sense.
At the very least, it looks like next week we'll be getting some information more about like Jack and what they did to their city.
Yeah, I mean, literally the last page was the most important page.
Yeah.
Which is common, but at the same time, it's kind of like you don't want that. You shouldn't be happening all the time. At least not when it's the only important thing. I'll rephrase it. When it's the only important thing, because essentially that was the only important thing in this chapter.
Right, because most of it was just like just padding or stuff that was cool to see, but not strictly relevant. Like seeing how they got away from Big Mom. I do like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The flashback was pretty nice. I'll give it that. At the same time, though, I think Inside Mari has more shit that happens than 8th.
And yet, hardly anything happened in that chapter.
It does that, though. That's the thing.
Yeah, that's kind of their forte, and this one is like crazy about that. But anyway, like I said, I don't really have much to add to this one. Like, I think you've covered the main points on here. Like there are some. It's not a. Well, it's a weak chapter for sure.
Yeah, it's a weak chapter. It's not the worst shit. It's not the worst thing in the world. But it's like Oda has set a bar for himself, and I want him to keep to it. Mm-hmm. You know, I'll give him a break though. I mean, everyone has a bad chapter, but it is a bad chapter nonetheless. You know, so yeah. Yeah,
but and like I said, in this case, Oda's One Piece usually quality that I think we can more easily forgive a bad chapter.
Yeah. I mean, like he has a standard that he does normally. I mean, everyone has a bump in the road. Yeah. It's just how do you recover? So let's see how it goes next chapter, and we'll see how it goes from there. If it's and I'm sure he'll give us what we want.
He tends to wow us, so I'm not too worried. In Oda, we trust. Right. In the meantime, that's been our review of One Piece chapter 807. Go ahead and take us away.
Bye!